Boss didn't want to approve a short leave, so I instead availed a long one. I work with a large organization having multiple branches in every state across the country. I'm the head of one such branch. My boss, the regional manager, controls around 15 such branches in a region cluster. During August this year, I asked my boss for a 5-day leave for September, which he had promptly granted. I then informed HR about it, suggesting him to temporarily arrange for somebody to run my branch for the week. HR assured me there would be plenty of time to arrange for my temporary substitute, so I didn't think much about it, since anyway it was his job to take care of it in case of leaves. My dumb didn't imagine it would be crucial to get leave approved formally / in writing, because before this, nobody had ever faced something like what I was about to experience. Come the last working day before I go on my leave, I asked our HR who would take care of my branch in my absence. He flatly stated there was no one available in the region cluster who he could depute to my branch in my stead, as many employees in our region are on leave because of festivities this week. Me, you're telling me this now? I fail to understand how that's my problem, given that my leave was already granted a month ago. HR, have a discussion with the boss. I called him up. Apparently the HR had already had a talk with him regarding this matter before I even called him. Regional manager, how could you intend to go on a leave during this time when we are already under so much pressure due to the sudden staff shortage? On top of that, our company's audit is due next month. But you already approved my leave 1 month ago. No, I'm sure I must have said I would think about it. Absolutely not. I wouldn't have booked my tickets and planned my travel to my hometown to see my parents if you hadn't confirmed the leave. This went to and fro for a while, and I was exasperated from this argument. By the end, I felt really humiliated that I had almost had to beg for a leave. Me, fine, I won't go. At that point, I had arguably felt my dignity was more important than a few days off work. Regional manager, huh? Okay. He was at a total loss of words at my sudden giving up. So, my leave stood canceled. My tickets had to be canceled. Money wasted, and I was left utterly exhausted of this BS. I can smell petty revenge a brewing. A few days later, we got a notification for the yearly interstate staff soccer tournament being arranged by corporate. If selected, I'd be playing for my state, and the tournament from selections till the final would go on for a month. Soccer happens to be one of my favorite sports, so guess who just applied and got selected in the state team? Now here's the funny thing about sports and activities that are arranged by our company's corporate center. The top management takes these seasonal events very seriously. If you are a participating employee, nothing or nobody on this planet could make you rather go back to sit on your chair and mind your job instead of participating. So, as it appeared, although not on a leave per se, I was all set to go on a month-long tour across the country, playing soccer without having to worry about managing a branch and getting paid in the process. Even irrespective of my leave fiasco, this was a good thing to get involved in. My boss's office was eventually informed about my participation in the event and was advised to excuse the participant from his duties until the tournament was over. The day before leaving, I drove down to the regional manager's office to formally inform him from my end about me competing in the event and ensuing my month-long absence that is to be expected. He looked expressionless and just feebly asked me, "Why did you really participate?" Why do you think? Me, well, you see, had I happened to be at my hometown on a short leave this week, I wouldn't have been able to participate in the tournament at all, or even try for the selections. Sad I couldn't go on that leave. The defeated look on his face was priceless. That was great. Excellent. I had to teach my boss that even though she is my boss, I am not her secretary. I have a good boss, but sometimes you have to teach them a thing or two. My boss is becoming the B word from micromanaging hell. Where I used to be able to do my job, I can no longer do it without constant interruptions of micromanagement. Boss has an office near mine. If I handle a business call, she listens and tries to control the call from his office. It is impossible for people to do more than one thing at a time. I cannot listen to 2 people at a time when one is on the phone. The customer should be served, not the boss. I sort of have dealt with this pretty well and clever. When I'm on the phone with someone, an eavesdropping boss starts to try to control a simple phone call with "No, don't do that, do blank, who's that, ask them, tell them." I become polite, cover the phone, and say to my boss, I have this handled. If boss persists with the micromanagement, I then have to cover the phone and say, "Mr. Customer, can you please hold on a moment? It's too loud and busy here to understand your needs. If it's okay with you, I'm going to transfer you to my boss with a private office." Boss then says, "No, can't you see I don't have time for that call?" I transfer the call at that moment and walk away. Boss handles the call, which they wanted to do in the first place. Next time boss interrupts me on a call, I cover the phone, say, "Can you hold on 1 second?" and politely ask the boss, "Do you want this one?" Look at boss and wait till their attention goes back to the desk when I then can handle the call. Now that I I've broken that mind-numbing habit, boss has moved on to different interruptions to my workflow. He is clever, but I am more so. Can you copy files from XXXXX and scan them to me? Over and over I hear this. Now you do things for your boss, but when they run their own small business on company time, they tend to take you on as an unwilling partner, asking you to do things they don't have time for, but then you don't have time for your job. Most of our documents are PDF, and our company will not provide us the ability to edit stuff. So, when I can't get my job done, I wait until boss wants a document scanned to them. I wait for a one-pager that I know they'll want to use electronically. I retrieve the file. 50% of the time the boss is in the office. I pull the page I want and I scan the thing. But the end of the document goes in the scanner first, so the document will go to the boss upside down and not usable by them. I then announce I'm going on break. Would you please return the document to the file? They get the file they can't use, and I'm not there for them asking me to rescan. Oopsie. Bonus revenge. Boss has to go to the scanner to rescan his document. Once he handles it, he is obligated by company culture to return it to the file, so I comply with his micromanagement demands, and he ends up doing what he should have done in the first place. Oh, yes, that's smart. This is called managing up and is a basic office survival kit that only few people seem to have. I love how we call it an office survival skill, implying that we need the skill in order to survive in a corporate environment. I have to pay to print personal stuff at work. So do you, boss. Many years ago, I worked for an organization providing frontline customer service. It was a decent place to work, but our manager had lots of rules. One of the rules was that we could not do any personal printing with the printers at work. If we did, we were expected to pay 50 cents per page for black and white printing and $1 per page of color. I'm not sure who made this rule, but the manager was constantly reminding us. Our desks were not assigned, meaning any day you could be sitting at any desk depending on your assigned tasks for the day. One day, I was interviewing for another job within the organization, but at another location. Prior to the interview, the manager of the other location asked me if I'd mind printing a copy of my resume and bringing it with me as their printers were down for the day. I said no problem, so I figured I'd print it at work since it was work related. I was sitting at a desk that did not have a printer at it. The closest printer was located between my manager's desk and an employee's desk, so I printed it and stood up to go get it. Before I got to the printer, my manager got there first. My print job went ahead of hers. When she saw what I had printed, she said, "OP, this looks like a personal print job." I explained it wasn't, but she disagreed and said it had nothing to do with day-to-day work. I had to pay $2 for 4 black and white pages. I begrudgingly paid up. I asked her what happened to the money, and she said she always put it in the Christmas party fund. All right. A few weeks later, I was sitting at the desk with the printer at it. It was lunchtime, and everyone except my manager agreed to go to a nearby restaurant for lunch. I walked out of our building and realized I forgot my wallet, so I ran back and got it. When I got to my desk, I could hear the printer going. I was curious what was being printed as it was spitting out page after page. I quickly glanced at the pile and saw at least 100 pages printed in color announcing a Sweet 16 for Trista, our manager's daughter. It very obviously belonged to my manager. My manager came out of the bathroom a moment later and she seemed shocked to see me standing there. I picked up the pile and passed it to her and told her our Christmas party fund was going to be getting a big boost. She said nothing but looked really uncomfortable. A few weeks later, our district manager made his quarterly visit. He talked about the upcoming Christmas party and how excited he was for it. I decided it was time for some petty revenge. I raised my hand and said, "I was just wondering how much we've accumulated this year for the Christmas party from print jobs." He looked so confused and asked me to explain what I meant, so I told him our manager's rule. He got really quiet and said he would have to review this. The next day, my manager sent an email saying the printing rule was something she was misinformed on and would be abolished immediately. Me, being the little disturber I am, hit reply all and asked what would happen to the already accumulated funds. Someone else said we should have a nice healthy fun for a pizza lunch and everyone agreed. The next day I hear my manager ordering 10 pizzas for lunch. Also used her own personal credit card to pay for it all. Do I think she was pocketing the printing money all along? Absolutely. But it was fun making her sweat and then having her spend nearly $300 the next day to make up for it. A pizza party that was actually worth it, lol. I honestly think that they should have paid you back. Cause realistically, do any of us really like office pizza parties? Like Like, I'd rather just have $30 if you don't mind. Dyed my hair blue so boss would stop blaming me for hair in customers' food. I used to work for a sandwich shop. All the other employees were Indian women with very long black hair. Mine was sort of similar, I suppose. Medium length and brown. But every time a customer would complain about a long black hair in the food, my boss would immediately blame me without any hesitation or investigation, despite the fact that I was the only person who wore my hair up and netted. So one day I dyed my hair blue with the sole purpose of not being blamed for black hair being in the food. You guessed it, it happened. And how huffy and annoyed my boss got when I said it couldn't be my hair because mine is blue was beyond amusing. Yes.